Redditors who have experienced snow, what is it like? Snow is a great sound insulation. If you're in a village or a place with not much people but still some sounds, a car far away, animals, river etc., it suddenly feels very quiet and calm, almost too much. Like if the time was frozen. Untouched snow is beautiful and it crunches while you walk on it, but once it starts to melt, when many people walked on it, it becomes dirty and muddy. It's very light and fragile, but when the snow become a bit old, it starts to be heavy and compact. When it's sunny, the untouched snow starts to sparkle like thousands of tiny diamonds. But when snow melts and then it's getting colder, it can be very slippery and puddles starts to freeze. It is one of the greatest pleasure for kids, and adult me, to break the thin layer of ice which get formed on puddles with our boots. It's so satisfying, just like when I break the top of my creme brulee, sorry I'm French, nothing else came to my mind, with my spoon. Please feel free to correct my English, I'm working on it.
When everything is blanketed and not touched, it's beautiful and everything is absolutely silent, at least where I live. But it is terrifying to drive on poorly plowed roads. Once it starts melting and there is some snow piles here and there, it looks ugly, especially when it turns gray, black from all the cars.
Fun for the first few days, then you really would just like feeling back in your fingers and toes. As a Northern Canadian, the idea of never having seen snow is actually mind-blowing to me. We got more than 6 inches overnight last night. Driving sucks, but it's mainly because of everyone else. I don't have much trouble driving in it, but everyone else forgets how to drive.
Beautiful to look at when it's untouched. But a nightmare to drive or walk in. Edit for everyone who's saying that driving in the snow is fun, you're right. Personally, I find a lot of other people don't know how to drive in the snow, so I avoid going out if I don't have to. Also, thank you stranger for the silver.
It's very peaceful and nice to look at as long as you don't have to drive in it or remove it.
It's coarse and rough. Oh wait. Wrong material, it's fun and cold and wet and feels weird if it slides down your back.
When it snows you don't feel wet. You feel wet some minutes later. When it snows a lot, sounds are filtered and everything looks more silent. Snowball fights scare me because I wear glasses and it can be dangerous.
Snow is like lazy rain. If you don't mind the rain and know how to be prepared, you won't mind snow. I personally love the snow. I think cold weather is worthless without snow around.
I've got two perspectives on this. The better perspective is when I was growing up. I lived out of town and my parents had property, so it was great. Some of us would go snowmobiling, some of us liked to snowshoe, and us kids always built snow forts. Plus, if you ever got a chance to get out into the woods, it is so beautiful and peaceful. One memory that always stands out is when I took a snowshoe hike when the moon was full. No need for a flashlight, it was just so bright out. And so quiet too. I hiked up to a hill from which I could look out over Lake Superior. It was an incredible experience. Now I live in the city. In short, it sucks. There's not much to do outside when the snow comes. It just gets in the way and screws up your commute. I usually slip and fall at least once per winter. Once the snow is cleared, it's just pushed into dirty piles on the side of the road, all over the place.
As a child it's fun because you can throw snowballs, build snowmen, make snow angels, and go sledding. As an adult it sucks cause you have to shovel, drive in it, and after a long winter it's just brown, gray and gross looking. And your car gets full of dirt and salt. But I must say, the first snowfall is always beautiful to me. I love taking a walk down a wooded road and the pure white color and muffled sounds from the snow made for a peaceful, beautiful walk.
Sometimes it's light and falls apart in your hands, and sometimes you can pack it to make snowballs or snowmen. You can also eat it if you want. If you see a yellow patch, that's the good stuff.
As a kid, a wonderland. As a teen, a cool moment. As an adult, a pain in the ass. As a senior, a death trap.
Coming from Central Europe, I always think the thought that someone hasn't experienced snow is so weird to me. I know so many have never seen it, but growing up with it and experiencing it every winter makes snow so natural for me.
Cold and wet, and I hate it except for skiing.
I live in Minnesota and snow is fucking amazing, dude. It's a nice soft cold powder, and if you are epic enough, go out with swim trunks on and sit right down in it. Heavier than you would think. Shoveling a driveway with a foot of snow feels like shoveling a foot of dirt off your driveway.
I don't like sand snow. It's coarse cold and rough wet and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
Cold, wet, slippery and miserable.
It's nice when you are outside in a snowstorm and it feels like you are the only person on the planet.
It depends on how much snow we're talking about. An inch to 4 inches can be quite pretty. If it's temperate outside, it can even be quite nice to walk in. As the accumulation continues, things can turn for the bad in short order. Transportation, both public and private, not only slows but can stop and become deadly. Stores stop getting food, old people die, people get stuck, accidents become rampant, hospitals get overwhelmed, and things can get even worse after that. If you start coupling lots of snow and lots of cold, cities can shut down for days. That's more deaths, more accidents. Everything up to a 10. So yeah, it's nice, but snow can be a gigantic cunt as well.
It's cold. I hate it.
Lived in Omaha, Nebraska 10 years. Snow is awesome to witness, especially at night by the fire with a good whiskey. The next morning is pure hell. First you have to shovel your driveway to get your car out to go to work. You also have to clear the sidewalk per city ordinance or be fined. Then you have to drive to work. Chances are the secondary roads haven't been cleared. Cars are off in the ditch and you're glad it wasn't you. Watch out for the asshole drivers on your way to work. They are all around you. On your way home the same assholes are there. Then hell really ramps up when you pull up to your house as the snowplow has went by and created an 18 inches mound of snow, ice in front of your driveway. Chance driving over it or go shovel it clear. Sucks. Then it gets better the second day as your driveway is probably clear and the snow is turning a gross brown everywhere due to the brine and salt that was applied by your local government. Do it all over again. Love snow.
Fun until it gets in your clothes.
It's a swirling wonderland of sparkling, white pleasure. Let it fill your senses with cascading fluffy pillows of comfort and excitement as you have never felt before.
Driving home in it last night, I was very worried about losing control of my car as I went up and down hills. After I got home and it stopped snowing, walking outside to shovel the driveway, couldn't believe how beautiful everything looked in the evening light. After shoveling it, was annoyed at how sore my back was when I was done. After the county snowplow passed through left a 2-foot-high wall in front of my driveway, I hated the goddamn shit. So passive, aggressive about it.
Cold. If you aren't prepared, you're in for a treat. Sarcasm. It's a nightmare in my opinion. Driving in it is horrible too. That's what I think at least.
Only thing I like about snow is when it's really late at night and you walk outside while it's snowing, couple of inches on the ground. Streetlights and absolutely no one around but you. No wind or noise, just you and the snow. It's something else. The rest of the time it's total BS and I hate it.
It's hard to describe to someone who hasn't ever felt it. I guess just imagine ice cream that's not quite frozen.
I hate it with a passion.
I am a lot happier with snow. It makes my day or my week.
I never saw any until I moved. It was way better in theory than in practice. I couldn't play with it as well as I'd expected, and it's very annoying if not outright dangerous to deal with as an adult.
It is very quiet due to sound not being able to bounce as much.
Amazing. About 8 years ago we had a massive period of heavy snowfall in the UK and me and my friends made the most of it. We went to this huge hill and took some tarpaulin with us, and every one of us would get in it, about 15 to 20 of us, and all slide down this hill together at lightning speeds. Literally went every day for like 2 weeks straight, and each day we would give the day a name like a cheap movie sequel. For example, the first day we called it Sledge, and then the second Sledge 2, Return of the Sledge. We came up with some really inventive names for each day. Unfortunately, it hasn't snowed like that in a while, and we've all grown older, moved away and drifted apart, but still, a fucking amazing memory I will cherish forever.
The thing that surprised me most was how hard it is. Movies make it look fluffy, but it's essentially just crushed ice like you'd get in a snow cone. And it gets gross and dirty really quickly.
If you go outside in shorts and a t-shirt and the sun is visible, you can get a tan. Just because of all the sunlight reflecting off the snow.
Fine in small quantities, annoying in large quantities.
As a Canuck, if I had to pick one word, it would be quiet. Yes, it's cold and sometimes annoying, but the way fresh snow kind of muffles everything is awesome.
The most amazing thing ever. And also a great excuse to sit inside and do nothing all day. Canadian here that lived in northern and southern Canada. Couple things, there are different types of snow and it depends on the temp. 1. Really cold, 20 C and below, the snow squeaks when you walk on it. The colder the squeakier. The colder it is, it cannot actually snow very well, tiny pieces that seem like they are floating like styrofoam in the air. Snow cannot pack together, all individual pieces that crumble when you pick it up. Snow is super light, shoveling is easy too. Medium cold, -5 to 10 C, snow's larger flakes. Snow can pack together better. Snow is heavier 3. -2 C to -5, snow is super packy, best time for making snowmen and forming snow. Snow is wetter and heavier. Damper in the air, harder to stay dry and warm, oddly, you just sweat and then freeze. Heavy after shovel, snow is insulating, so the more on the ground and in the trees the acoustics are similar to being in a padded room. Walking in the forest is amazing during this time.
Depends on the temperature. Warm snow and cold snow act very differently.
Being out in the snow isn't too fun if you're above the age of 12 and don't like snow sports. However, I find a very comforting feeling when I'm inside and away from the cold by a nice warm fire with a cup of hot chocolate. The contrast and security you feel is nice. Snow and winter have a smell. It's crisp and fresh. Skies turn orange when it's cloudy at night. Snow reflects a lot of light, so nights are a lot brighter than in the summer. It's wet. It's so wet and cold when it melts.
It lights up the nights. Walking in forests in the dark is much less scary when there's snow outside. Hee hee.
Ages 2-12, this is the most awesome thing ever. Ages 13-21, do we get the day off from school? Otherwise, whatever. Ages 22-28, you mean we still have to go to work? Ages 29-49, fuck. Where's the fucking shovel? Age 50 plus, let's move to Arizona.
Nobody is mentioning that when the sun comes out, and is shining on a layer of fresh snow, that shit is bright as hell and hurts my eyes.
Looks amazing when untouched. It's fun to look at the paw prints that are in the snow. Fun to play in for a while. Snowball fights. Gets annoying after a while. School cancellations. I live in a place where there are snow days, but like once or twice. So when school is cancelled, it's awesome.
I live near San Francisco and it doesn't snow here pretty much ever. And I've been to the snow, but I'd never actually seen it snow until I went to Chicago. It was magical. I loved it. The second closest would be when I was in Disneyland for Christmas once, and during the fireworks show they played Let It Snow and had soap suds shooting out from seemingly nowhere. That was also magical.
Cold and wet. I live in the mid-Atlantic where people's driving skills fly out the window at the first sight of a flake in my town. People in SUVs without four-wheel drive think they can still drive 70 miles per hour on the highway. The store's shelves become empty of milk and toilet paper quickly. Bottled water too. If it snows enough to need the roads plowed, people put lawn chairs in their spots to save them, which can lead to fights over stealing someone's spot. The news station talk about black ice, which somehow becomes a race issue. In reality, it's talking about ice that appears black on the blacktop of the roads. You should watch out for it because your car will lose traction. My neighbor shovels the snow from his driveway directly into the street, thinking that it will magically disappear that way. Schools close for less than an inch, which adds days onto the end of the year, and people complain about whether it was the right decision to close or not.
Peaceful, quiet, beautiful and clean. Apart from the obvious cold off-course smile, the world goes from a dark, colorless, sad and ugly place to beautiful, light, clean and pure overnight. It never ceases to amaze me, and first time every winter is always mesmerizing. Love it.
Shoveling it even just one time makes you never want it again. I hate the snow. It's cold, and coarse, and rough, and it gets everywhere.
Me, a sad Floridian wanting to experience snow.
My dog loves it. http://imgur.com/a/86 He's a Bernese mountain boy, and it's so fun to see him in his natural environment.